This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and start then. So I know that a lot of us are familiar with SurveyMonkey, but it was requested that we go through a tutorial about what features are available through SurveyMonkey, how to create a survey, and how to obtain the data and look at some of the results from your survey responses. All right. So here is the outline of today's presentation. We'll start by just going over what SurveyMonkey is and what you can do with it. Then we'll look at how to design your own survey, including a brief tutorial on how to do that, and then how to obtain the results. And we'll finish by, I'll share some additional resources that you can look at if you'd like to learn more about this tool. So the first part of the presentation, what is SurveyMonkey? So it's an online platform for survey design and data collection and analysis. And one fun fact that I found on their website is that they get about 20 million questions are being answered through SurveyMonkey in a single day. And the website is obviously surveymonkey.com. So some of the features that this platform includes, you can create your own surveys, quizzes, polls. Then you can collect those surveys by sharing a link, by emailing it to responders. You can also do it through mobile chat, social media, etc. SurveyMonkey will also automatically analyze your results. However, you can export the raw data yourself if you prefer to integrate it into a computer application to do the analysis yourself. And then another interesting feature, though you have to pay extra for it, I think it's still valuable to know this, is that SurveyMonkey has the capacity to be HIPAA compliant, and they have additional security features. So if you're creating a survey where you need to keep that in mind, that's a really nice feature that they have. And if you don't know, HIPAA compliant has to do with medical data and personal information. So now we're going to move on to designing a survey. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do after you log in is click on the Create Survey button found on the top right-hand side of your web browser. So you can see in the picture below it's circled. So you hit that button. Then on the next page, you'll have the option to either start a survey from scratch. If you have existing surveys listed into your account and you want to copy last year's survey, maybe you're doing an annual survey, so you don't need to start from the beginning, you can do that. And then SurveyMonkey also has templates available, so you can select from a variety of templates that they have for you. For this tutorial, we're going to focus on just starting from scratch. So you would click that. Then you would give your survey a name, select a category. So some of the categories available are demographics, feedback, forms. I believe there's also a category that's quote unquote just for fun. So there's a whole list there that you can choose. And then you're going to select whether or not your questions are already written. In this tutorial, we're not assuming that. And finally, you can select what type of survey format you would like to have. So would you like the questions to appear one at a time? Is it okay for them to be all listed on the same page, or the classic version? And then they also have this new feature where you can do it in a conversation form, a chat conversation. I haven't tried that myself, but I think that's interesting. It'd be fun to test out. So then once you select all of your specifications, you'll click Create Survey. Then you can begin customizing your survey. So you can add information about your survey in the page title. You could add a blurb giving instructions to people on what they need to do. to fill out the survey correctly. You can start typing in your questions, and then you can also add new pages to your survey. If you don't want everything on one page, you can put it on another page, etc. So when designing your survey, I wanted to go through some of the features that you can use to do so. So on the left-hand side, which if you look at a previous slide, they're over on the left of those red arrows. You can see there are these little icons, these picture icons. So what each of these icons are listed on the step 5 slide. So the toolbox at the top is called the question bank. Here you can explore pre-written questions that are already available for you to use to include in your survey. So, and SurveyMonkey will have these categorized by different topics. So if you want questions about demographics or contact information, or maybe you want questions about politics, those are already there for you to explore, so you don't have to recreate them. The next icon, which looks like a series of steps, is called the builder icon. So if you select this one, and this is the one that's selected in the picture on this slide, you can see here that you can change the format of your question or add questions with a different format. So if you'd like to have a multiple choice question or a star rating or a matrix question, you can use this option to help you with that. The builder tool will also allow you to add new pages and to change those as well. Next, the paintbrush is the appearance part of the toolbar. Here you can do things like add your company's logo, you can change the font and the color, as well as adding a background to your survey. So this can be helpful if you're creating a survey that's designed toward a particular client. So for the Air National Guard, for example, I believe for some of our surveys, we added their logo and made it blue instead of green, and really tried to make it look like their product, not ours. Then the device that has a little arrow, it almost looks like a pair of scissors. This is for determining the logic of your survey. So the logic button will give you a series of options on how to add a skip pattern to your survey. So this means that if you have a question where responders are supposed to answer yes or no, if they answer yes, you may want them to go to a different question to if they answer no. So if they answer no, I've never done this before, then you don't need to ask them follow-up questions about that activity. So that would be how you would add that to your survey. You can also add features like making questions or pages come up randomly to see if that helps change the response rate and the completion rate of your survey. The next button on the left-hand toolbar is the options button. You can add additional features to your survey like page numbers or external links and more. And then finally, the last button, which has the 3 little boxes in the larger box, this is if you would like to customize your survey format. So again, it's those 3 options. Perhaps we selected classic initially when we were setting up our survey, but now we change our mind and we would like our questions to come up one at a time or in a conversation format. You can always change that, and that's how you would do it. So finally, when you're done writing your questions and you're happy with the format of your survey, then you would go to the top of your toolbar and select the button from the top menu, Preview and Score. By doing this, you can now see your survey how the responders would see it. And you can even practice going through the survey and making sure your skip pattern is correct, making sure the images that you maybe included in your questions are showing up the way you'd like them to, and just checking the overall format of your survey. Finally, Once you're happy with your survey, you've previewed it, you've gone back and edited it, previewed it again, and you're happy with it, then you can start collecting the responses. So you'd click on the next button on your top menu. And then you would select Send Surveys Your Way. They also have this option to target your ideal respondents, but here you're buying responses from a selected demographic. Usually with the projects that we've done at Strategic Results, we have a specific audience in mind that's defined by our client, or it's the attendees to a conference that we're hosting. So we don't need to buy the responses. We can just get the link and share it with our audience on our own terms. So you would select Send Responses Your Way. And then SurveyMonkey gives you a variety of options of how to reach out to your audience. So previously, we've just gotten the web link before and copy and pasted that web link either on the event web page or sent it through our Strategic Results email. But you can also send emails directly through SurveyMonkey. They give you options too to share it through social media or mobile apps. So there's really a lot of ways that you can reach out to your audience and try to increase your response rate. Okay, so we finished the portion on how to create your own survey. Now let's move on to obtaining the results. So again, you would click on your survey in your account if you're coming back to it, and you would have this same menu at the top of your browser. And we would move to the Analyze Results section of the menu. So you click on that, and once you do that, you can see that there are 3 ways you can look at the data. You can look at question summaries, insights and data trends, or individual responses. So let's go over what each of those are. So if you were to click on question summaries, you'd get a page where you can look at each one of your questions, and there would be either a bar chart or some type of graphic summarizing your results that's appropriate to the question format that you used for that question, as well as a nice table below showing you the frequencies and percentages for each of the response values. So here on this slide, we have an example question from one of our previous surveys, and you can see there's a nice bar chart here, as well as they show that 55% answered Windows and 45% answered Mac. And you can see we had a total of 22 responses to this question and 1 skip. If you click on the Data Trends tab, then you can see not only what the response is, how many people responded, but when did they answer the survey? When did they take your survey? So this is really nice if you launch your survey on a certain date and you want to see how many responses you get on that date, and then maybe you send a reminder later on, and you can see how effective those notifications are to your target audience. Finally, we have the page where we can look at individual responses. So on this page, there's a drop-down menu here for you to select a respondent ID number. So once you select that respondent number, you can then scroll down and see what each of their responses were for the questions in your survey. So this might be important if you have an event where you need to look at individual speaker responses and find out what their needs are. I will say you should be careful with this page if you're asking questions about contact information. Just make sure you're not publicizing it and just keeping it secure. Finally, there's this section on how to export the data. So it's great that you can see all of these summaries, excuse me, and analyses within SurveyMonkey itself, but perhaps you have an analyst on your team or there's more that you want to do with your data that SurveyMonkey hasn't done for you. So if you'd like to do that, you can export the data from the SurveyMonkey online platform onto your personal computer. So to do that, you would go, let's see. You can see on the Analyze Results page, on the left-hand side, we again have these icons in our toolbar. The arrow that's pointing down is what you would select as it's circled on this slide in order to export your data. Once you select that arrow, then hit the gray button that says Export All, and you'll be given 3 choices. You can either choose to export the summary data, which is what they have already for you in SurveyMonkey. So this can be valuable if you'd like to include those summary results into a report or a presentation. Or you can look at the individual responses of your data, which may be valuable if you'd like to do your own analyses. So once you select that, a dialog box will pop up. Here, you'll specify how you would like to download the data onto your computer. Would you like for the file to be exported into an Excel document, or maybe you'd like to analyze it in SPSS, so you can select to have it in an SPSS format or a PDF format if you'd like to just look at the summary results and include those in a report to send out to your team. So once you're done, yeah.
What is that SPSS number? I mean, top of document?
Yeah, so SPSS is a statistical software program that you can use to analyze data. So it's like R or SAS, but it has more of a point and click type of platform. So a lot of people that analyze their own data prefer this type of platform. For strategic results, we've mainly used Excel, R, or Tableau. So it's not really relevant to us. But for those who do like to use that platform or have it on their own computers, it is an option.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So once you're satisfied,
Charlotte, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Quick question about XLS versus the comma separated. Is there a reason why you would use the CSV versus Excel? I mean, I assume you would end up importing them both into, they would both end up in Excel.
Right. Yes. So if you were using something like R or SAS to analyze your data, having the data in CSV form can be a lot more friendly for when you go to import it into those statistical softwares. It can also be helpful if you have a large number of responses. So if you have something like 1 million or more responses, having it in a CSV form can save you time in terms of importing it or exporting it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So once you're done specifying your file preferences, you would hit export. And upon doing that, a small dialog box will appear in the top right-hand corner of your browser, and you need to click download. So if you don't do this, it won't come onto your computer, I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe it'll show you the file name of what it's called, and it'll oftentimes come in the form of a zip folder. And so you would hit download, and it would be saved onto your computer. What's nice about this is that you can also go back and see exports that you've done previously and on what date you exported the data. So that finishes the tutorial portion of our presentation. Before I conclude, I would like to go over some additional resources that you can use while utilizing this tool. So I've listed here a variety of online learning resources. The first of which is the playlist for SurveyMonkey's YouTube channel. That's where I found the video in today's presentation, but they also have a variety of other videos that are really helpful. So they have one on how to analyze your survey results. They also have specific videos for formatting your questions. So there are a lot of great tools that you can use, and they do a great job of explaining them in that video playlist. Additionally, SurveyMonkey has some online tutorials that you can look at. So for example, if we click on this one, here it goes. So they actually have a tutorial on how to create a survey, which we went over today, and that includes the video that I highlighted in the presentation. And they just go over some of the items that we discussed today. But if you'd like more information on how to copy a previous survey or using a template that SurveyMonkey has provided for you, there is more information on this website. So I recommend that. There's also information on how to get responses to your survey, as well as how to analyze results and more. So that's a great tool if you ever need some additional help. The last one that I wanted to go over online is if you would like to browse the different types of survey questions that SurveyMonkey offers, they do have a web page where they go through what a multiple question looks like, and they give you a description, etc. So you can look through these and see which questions might be most appropriate for your survey. The last two things I included are information on security and HIPAA compliance. That's available on the SurveyMonkey website as well. And then finally, if you're looking to create a feedback form, I found a nice colloquial article on how to create 7 tips on how to create an effective feedback form. Thank you so much for your time.